Future is yet another film that was monumental in my growth as a film connoisseur. If I had a nickel for every time I dressed as Marty McFly for Halloween, I would have 2 nickels, and that was no coincidence. Back to the Future was one of my all-time favorites as a kid, and it still remains as one of my all-time favorites. What makes this film truly great is how it continues to surprise and delight with every rewatch, revealing new layers of clever storytelling that goes unnoticed on first viewing. I can't think of a screenplay that is more structurally well done. The first act in this film is the stuff of legend. Every single piece of exposition is paid off later on. This film manages to set up all this exposition in a completely natural way that is believable and doesn't feel forced. From the visual pieces of foreshadowing, from this lady right here.
30 years ago, lightning struck that clock tower and the clock hasn't run since.
And this little gag here.
Still don't understand what Dad was doing in the middle of the street.
What was it, George? Bird watching?
What, Lorraine?
The great thing about this gag is that on first viewing, this seems like a throwaway moment. But on second viewing, now knowing the context of why George was up in the tree, makes this joke land. That's the brilliance of Back to the Future. There is always something to appreciate on every viewing. However, the emotional core of this film is the character arc of George McFly. Similar to Ferris Bueller's Day Off, our main character doesn't change dramatically. Instead, it is his influence that changes the people around him. Though, that isn't to say Marty doesn't grow. After all, by the end of this film, Marty has a much deeper understanding of his parents because of having witnessed and interfered with pivotal moments of growth for the both of them, especially his father, George. George McFly begins this film as a pathetic shell of a person. We meet him in a conversation with his boss, Biff. George allows Biff to take advantage of him, and it would be quite the understatement to say that Biff walks all over George. George has likely been a doormat to Biff's bullying for as long as he can remember.
Hello? Anybody home? Anybody home? Think, McFly. Think. I gotta have time to recover.
Through time travel hijinks, Marty accidentally disrupts the first meeting of his parents, which, to my previous point, is an event that is set up and established earlier in this film. Marty accidentally takes George's place as the one Lorraine falls for. Gross. Now Marty is forced in the awkward position of matchmaker, trying to get his parents to fall in love. As gross and incestuous as it is, it's understandable why Lorraine prefers Marty over George. Marty is far more confident than George, who lacks any sort of self-assurance. So Marty now is forced to instill confidence in George for him to be appealing to Lorraine, and to restore the timeline so that Marty and his siblings can continue to exist. I love how this film presents these high concepts in a way that is digestible and non-pretentious. The concept of time travel, altering the future, and the ripple effect of messing with the past are fun ideas that aren't exactly digestible for a casual audience. Though, through this film's lighthearted tone and masterful use of storytelling, these ideas become digestible. There is a reason why this film can appeal to both hardcore sci-fi fans and casual moviegoers. The culmination in George's character arc is his confrontation with Biff. Marty's original intention was for him to have the confidence to be able to woo Lorraine. Biff was not a part of the picture. Originally, Marty staged a scenario where George would throw Marty out of the car and then to take Lorraine to the dance. But once Biff enters the scene, completely derailing the plan, George is now forced to play off script and finally stand up for himself, fueled by the confidence Marty instilled in him, or as we learn in Back to the Future Part 2, a little liquid courage. George is now able to muster the emotional strength to stand up for Biff, for himself and the woman he loves. That punch is one of the most satisfying moments in cinematic history. This moment solidifies George's transformation from a timid pushover to an individual who is in control of his own destiny. Crispin Glover's performance is kind of underrated in this scene. He perfectly captures George's sudden boost in confidence, making the audience believe the liberating relief George feels as he stares at his hand after knocking out Biff. I'm going to address the quote-unquote plot hole. This so-called plot hole claims it doesn't make sense that Marty's parents don't recognize him as Calvin Klein, the kid who is ultimately responsible for setting them up. I'm not going to attempt to justify this plot hole, though I am going to say it doesn't matter. This film is just so tightly written and it possesses rich characters. Plus, this film deals with time travel, so there are bound to be a few inconsistencies. Ultimately, Back to the Future remains as a masterclass in balancing intricate plot mechanics with heartfelt character arcs. This is a film that effortlessly combines concepts such as time travel with universally relatable themes of self-discovery and personal growth. The brilliance of its structure, where every single piece of setup has a satisfying payoff, and its nuanced characters make this film a timeless piece of cinema. While some may focus on the minute plot inconsistencies, they pale in comparison to the richness of the story, the characters, and emotional resonance. Back to the Future isn't just about time travel, it's about how one person's influence can shape the people around them, and how destiny can be rewritten with a little courage. Marty McFly may not drastically change by the end of this film, but through Marty's influence, we witness the profound transformation of George McFly. And in that, the film's true genius lies. With every rewatch, this film reveals new layers, reminding us why it has endured for generations, and why this film will stand the test of time. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this latest video, and if you did, make sure to give this video a like, and if you want more content like this, hit the subscribe button, and ring the bell notification so you can be notified every time I upload a new video. And shout out to Cogsworth and Tony Hawk. Thanks for watching.